You know, when you hear the word psychopath, your mind probably jumps straight to a movie villain, right? Someone who's obviously dangerous, maybe a little extreme. But what if the reality is way, way more subtle? The thing is, psychology tells us that a lot of people with psychopathic traits aren't locked away somewhere. They're our colleagues, our neighbors, heck, they might even be people we call friends. So, what does a psychopath really look like? Seriously, just take a second and picture one. What do you see? Because the truth is, that Hollywood stereotype is a huge problem. It can actually make us blind to the real thing, because it often looks nothing like what we expect.
And that's what's so unsettling. The most successful ones aren't these cartoonish monsters. They're absolute masters of disguise, and they blend right into our daily lives, seamlessly. You've probably already met one, and you would have had no clue.
Okay, so here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to tackle the psychopath next door. Then we'll peel back the layers of the alluring surface. After that, we'll look for the cracks in the facade, get to the empty core, and finally, we'll talk about recognizing the pattern.
So first things first, we have got to move past the cliches. We are not looking for Hannibal Lecter here. Nope. This is all about understanding a psychological profile that is way, way harder to spot out in the real world.
So how do they do it? How do they just hide in plain sight like that? Well, it all starts with a mask, a really carefully constructed one. It's this alluring surface that's specifically designed to pull you in and make you drop your guard. I mean, on the surface, these people can be unbelievably appealing. They're magnetic, super confident. They just make everything feel exciting. And they have this uncanny knack for knowing exactly what to say to get you on their side. That first impression, it's always fantastic.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. You have to understand what's really going on behind all that charm. It is not genuine warmth. It's a performance. It's a social tool, a strategy that they use to get you to lower your guard so they can figure out what they can get from you.
But see, here's the thing about performances. They can't go on forever. No mask is perfect, and if you're really paying attention, you'll start to notice the cracks showing through. Okay, one of the biggest ones? Lying. And we are not talking about little white lies here. For them, it's a lifestyle. Lying is their default setting. And what's so unnerving is how confident they are when they do it. It's because their brain just doesn't fire off those same stress signals that you and I get when we're being dishonest. They also tend to see other people as, well, objects, as resources to be used. So their relationships aren't about give and take. They're about what they can get from you. Your money, your connections, your energy. It's actually why psychologists have called it a parasitic lifestyle. And because of that, their connections just feel hollow, right? They're transactional. You know that super intense interest they showed you at the very beginning? Yeah, that vanishes the second you're no longer useful to them. Okay, let me ask you this. Have you ever tried to confront someone about something they did, and somehow by the end of the conversation, you're the one apologizing? You're suddenly on the defensive, feeling like you did something wrong. Yep, that's a classic move. See, instead of just answering a direct question, they'll flip it. They'll ask a manipulative question back at you, something like, "You really don't trust me?" Or, "Why would I lie to you?" It's brilliant, in a terrifying kind of way. It completely shifts the focus off of their behavior and onto your doubts, making you question your own reality.
You know another one of those cracks? It's when their emotional displays just feel off. Kind of weird. Like they'll laugh at a totally inappropriate time, or they'll be bizarrely calm during a total crisis. It often feels like they're reading emotions from a script, not actually feeling them. And that constant need for a thrill, that's not just them being adventurous. It's actually tied to their brain chemistry. They get bored so easily, profoundly bored. So they're always chasing risky things just to feel something, anything, to escape this deep inner emptiness. So now we get to the heart of it all, the why. Why do they do all this? The lying, the charming, the manipulation? Well, it all comes down to one massive fundamental difference in how their brains are wired. And this is the key, the big one, a profound, deep lack of empathy. They can look at you and know you're sad. They understand the concept of sadness, but they don't feel it with you. It's like they're studying emotions like you would a foreign language. They learn the vocabulary to mimic it and blend in, but they can never actually feel it. And that lack of empathy, it completely changes how they process guilt. When you or I hurt someone, we feel that pang of guilt, right? Well, they just don't. Instead, they'll rationalize what they did, maybe blame the victim, or they'll just fake an apology because they know it's the socially acceptable thing to do to get out of trouble. All right, so let's tie all of this together. We've talked about the charming mask, the cracks underneath it, and the empty core that's driving everything. So, what do we do with all this? What's the takeaway? This is probably the most important part of this whole explainer. Look, anyone can be charming. Anyone can tell a lie or act selfishly from time to time. That's not what we're talking about. The real red flag is not a single sign. It's the pattern. It's a consistent, long-term cluster where a whole bunch of these behaviors show up together.
And let me be crystal clear here. This is not a checklist for you to go out and diagnose people. We're talking about a complex personality disorder. Having one or two of these traits does not make someone a psychopath.
So the crucial point is this. What you're looking for is the pattern. When you see that whole cluster of signs, the superficial charm, the manipulation, the exploitation, and it's all built on top of that profound lack of empathy and remorse, that's when you need to pay attention.
Because ultimately, being able to spot the individual signs is just the first step. The real skill is in recognizing the whole pattern they form. So I'll leave you with this question. Knowing what this pattern looks like, how does that change the way you observe the interactions all around you?